Yeah, how are we gonna use the Tic Tac? But
Well, you use it right before you start recording audio so that your breath is nice and minty.
yes, for the audience,
Yes,
it's all for you.
you get a Tic Tac and you try to hand it to like a little squirrel or a chipmunk to do Foley work. This is episode 52, which means that this officially is the end of season 1 of Total Pebble Knockdown. How about that?
Most TV shows don't have 52 episodes in a season.
No, they don't. They usually only do about 20. We are working
Yeah.
too hard.
Yep. And animes have about 12.
Yeah. Well, unless it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if you remember like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it like 1 year it had like 12 episodes and then the next year it had like 155 or something.
Yeah.
It's organized.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Anime's
Pokemon was
weird.
kind of like that too. I don't know.
Anyways.
Well, anyway, we're not anime, but we are also not like a prestige television show, so we're somewhere.
But also,
yes.
if you'd like us to be anime, let us know. We'll
True.
figure something out.
We'll figure that out.
We can get someone to animate that.
Oh my
Not
god.
animate it, draw that. Sorry, we're not doing animation. That's not happening.
If we get a big enough budget, I'm gonna go to like one of the animators that Ninja Sex Party uses for those animated videos, and we'll do a segment to do music videos.
A friend of mine from high school is married to someone, and he's a voice actor, and she does animation, and I think they have a studio that he runs, and they did the opening video for Sonic Mania, I believe. The animation.
Wow. Very neat. Yeah.
So, I could be like, hey, I don't think we have the money for that, but if we had the budget,
We don't have the money for that. No, we're not one of those critical roles that can get a Kickstarter off the ground. Our Kickstarter would get us like $15 and a Tic Tac, and I'll tell you, we'd have to figure out how to make that work.
Yeah, how are we gonna use the Tic Tac? But
well, you use it right before you start recording audio, so that your breath is nice and minty.
yes, for the audience,
Yes,
it's all for you.
you get a Tic Tac and you try to hand it to like a little squirrel or a chipmunk to do Foley work. Anyway, so it's been a year. It's actually been
a year.
It's actually been a little bit more than a year because we had a few weeks that we were off, but it's been a year of content essentially. And from our early beginnings when we launched the show and we're talking about being competent, which I think we've proven over these 52 episodes we are not, and talking about Roblox, which we hopefully will never have to do again, and I think that we've made some strides forward. I don't know if we've really learned anything, though.
Maybe. I think you've gotten better at video editing, and our brand director has gotten better at thumbnail making.
Yeah.
I've just done nothing for the last year. I've moved. I got a new background.
You have changed your background and your setup, so there is that. Good job. Yeah.
Yep. I don't think we've really gained much in the way of the podcast listeners, but that's a hard metric to gauge anyways.
It is. I think what I was very surprised by is that the video part of it has occasionally had some spikes. Like it seems like we do get a little bit more attention to that, which is why I've been trying to take a little bit more time with the videos just to try and cut them down a little bit, make them a little bit better for presentation and add some elements in, which is, granted time in, but is also important because we like having that kind of engagement, and I've been surprised by a few of them that did very, very well, and what people surprisingly liked to talk about.
I think the fun thing is it's mostly been in the tabletop realm.
Yes.
Which is fine, because we love tabletop. but
That's true. A few of them were about video games, but yeah, most of them were about the tabletop stuff, which is, where our origins lie anyway. I think, like, the first one that was really big was, like, the Mandela Effect video that we did, which definitely brought out a few conspiracists.
Yeah, that's fun if you read the comments.
Yeah, read the comments, but try not to take them too seriously. Take it with a grain of salt. The False Hydra one, people very much liked, because we got to talk about not only the False Hydra, which Dungeon Dads did a big thing on, but we also got to talk about metagaming, and I think that's one of the big things people wanted to discuss. And then, surprisingly enough, the one that really surprised me was the just overwhelmingly, like, if you look at metrics from, like, our normal video views.
Oh, I'm looking at metrics.
Yeah, if you look at our normal views and what this one did, I don't know why the crit thing that we did about how did the party come together got so many views. I don't.
Yeah, it's sitting at 1.7K right now.
Yeah, which
like a little over 1.7.
Which I will mention, we did not do any kind of promotion or anything for. We just threw it out there. I kind of thought it was just a regular topic. I didn't think anything would come of that one.
That is our most popular, 1.7K. The Mandela Effect one with 936, which is our April Fool's episode too, which is just kind of silly, talking about ridiculous things. Yeah. Most people in the comments were like, oh, it's real, and we're like, oh, you don't understand sarcasm, my guys. But it's fine.
I did love the person who was trying to convince us that, what about the Fruit of the Loom logo? Like the cornucopia? And it's like, I'm not gonna get into it with you, but just go to the literal website for Fruit of the Loom. They show you through time their logos from like the 1800s to now, and there's no cornucopia in any of them. Like, none. You take it up with them and see.
Yeah. And then the other one, the False Hydra, is at 530. That one was fun. And then after that, it's down to 193 with why you should never say missed.
Yeah. Which I guess those are ones that most people just don't talk about, Those are just kind of oddities. So that's been very good, and we've, those are the kind of numbers that we are not used to seeing in terms of...
Yeah, those are big numbers to us.
To us,
our typical is around 13 or so for the videos, and we're like, 13's better than we expect.
Yeah. Originally, we were looking at, like, 0 people, so there's that.
Yeah, we're doing this because we enjoy it, not because we get views.
Right. I and that we're getting more engagement on there because people that will join us, we've started to even have some people join us into the Discord, found us through the videos, and we're like, wait, you have a podcast? And it's like, well, yeah, that's actually kind of the reason why we even did this in the first place.
Yeah.
The podcast.
We have an old podcast, too. If you're listening to this and you haven't heard us mention Dell before...
Oh, yeah. We should.
We don't do it anymore, but if you like game mechanics and interviews with game designers, check out Dell Podcast.
Yeah, we did quite a few episodes. I wouldn't say that the podcast numbers have exactly jumped, but the way that we've been framing the video presentations on YouTube has definitely gotten more attention. So I think that overall, I was kind of surprised by the reception that we've gotten overall. And like having a merch store is really cool. Some of the designs that are coming out, hint, hint, wink, wink, you might want to go look at some of those. The live episodes too, since we're at it, that was a tradition we started back when we were doing Delve, of doing a monthly live. But I do like being able to do that with like the video presentation of doing video games and kind of playing that almost with people, especially for the first time. People get to watch me as I try to get over my fear of sharks.
That was great though. Manhunt was great.
Yeah.
Or Maneater, I'm sorry.
Yeah. On a side note, since we're on the topic of it, I should say that I almost have beaten Maneater.
Oh, good.
I've almost done it. I got to like the last boss, and he has that like this ridiculous boat. I got to like Pete at the end of it, and he's got this ridiculous boat, and I've tried it a few times, and I keep dying, and I'm like, do I really care? Like, I've dealt with everything else. It gets to the point in the later areas when you're in, like, the open ocean or the Gulf where you have to fight sperm whales. And orcas, you fight orcas and stuff, and it's like, and I took care of that. Like there's literally, like, the apex predator for the sperm whale made me think of, like, Moby Dick. Like, when I got to it, I got through, like, a bunch of that stuff. I became the mega and everything. That's terrific. I got, like, my whole bone armor on and everything. It's like, that's great. But then they throw this boat at you at the end, and it's like, did they just not want you to complete the game? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, got to do that. I think people mostly enjoyed it when I had to struggle through things like Super Benbo Quest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always good. Making my life a living hell seems to be the kind of thing that we like to do. And hey, we had a whole lot of fun breaking Farm Simulator.
Yeah.
That's great. We got to go right up to the sky.
Flying horses.
Flying horses, just like Farming Simulator intended. Perfect. So we have a lot of fun doing those too, because it also allows people that are in the community in our Discord to come in and chat with us while we're doing that. I think the lesson that we learned too is not to do anything that's too intense in terms of reading or story-driven games, because it does make it harder to actually talk in the meantime. So I try to be
You get invested.
Yeah, and so I try to do ones that are not quite as personally investing when I do those games. I do try to think about that when we have those live episodes. But we'll continue to do those the first Saturday of the month. That's always good if you drop by or you happen to see us. We're doing those on YouTube now. We're not doing them on Twitch. So you can always check that out. We've done some new projects. Creatures has had its first entry with the Winter Wolf. So
Second one will be out at some point. She's working on it. She's also had a lot of other things going on. Plus, we just moved, so
yeah, we don't really have a hard and firm date on when those release. They're like the Prestige series of our site. And I'm still doing Titanium Mine. We're just doing that on, like, a bi-weekly basis. And what I wanted to do with that is, instead of just, like, trying to go through some description of every single game that I played, was to be a little bit more choosy in what I was talking about and to get a little bit more in depth with certain subjects. So I think that seems to be going well, because I actually get comments back on it now where
good.
Beforehand, it was just like, meh. I didn't know if anybody watched it. I could tell by, like, the numbers on Anchor that there were some people that watched it, but I didn't know if anybody actually bothered to intake what was going on.
Okay,
now
nice.
a few people actually say something, so that's
nice.
Nice. So yeah, overall, did we actually learn anything from
Who knows?
this year?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've learned about doing this a bit more.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Overall, like, how we set up the show, what we want to do with it, the stuff we like talking about, the stuff that gets people talking to us a bit.
Yeah. I think too that I realized more from this last year that we probably made the right decision by starting a new show from the ground up, because I think that the format of what we do now just makes more comprehensive sense to people, of being
Probably
doing smaller segments and doing a little bit more focused segments that people can parse out and listen to individually or in one whole.
Yeah, instead of just having a rambling hour-long show.
Yeah, where we kind of were talking about a subject, but then we kind of ended up talking about everything else in the meantime. There's more structure to the show now, and being able to also expand what we're talking about in terms of gaming where it's not just specifically about the design of tabletop gaming, but really about games in general and topics that we find interesting because we play them so much. So that's good. Yeah, I think overall we probably did a good thing doing the show, and now we can stop. No, we're not.
Done. Bye.
We're done.
And hopefully, I'm hoping. I know I talked to you earlier. I'm hoping we can get having people on the show a bit more often. I know we had our friend Chris Bissett on earlier in our series.
Yes.
And that was great for us. We enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. We hope we could get more people looking at those and get more people on.
Yeah, I think we had been a little reticent to have a lot of people on just because we were trying to figure out what the show even was, and we didn't know what the format was going to be for guests. But, back when we did that 5-year-long project known as Delve, a good portion, probably about half the episodes altogether, were with people where we did interviews.
I think it was more so we didn't necessarily want to get bogged down doing interviews formally, but having somebody on to talk to like we did with Chris, to talk about a couple different topics and have a chat with them, even if it's not a standard interview. I think that's more interesting.
Right, and the other problem that I think we've talked about at one point is we got into such a habit of doing a ton of interviews that a lot of them were just about talking about the latest Kickstarter, and that was then all we ever really did. And so by then having somebody come on and do a few different segments, we can talk about the latest projects, but then we can also have some conversations that are not specifically about that, and so we can focus in on a handful of people coming on the show so that we can talk more broadly about stuff and not get too bogged down in being essentially a video advertising thing.
Right. Which, again, we don't mind talking about what someone has got coming up. We did with Chris, and we've done it before with Chris before and other people, but we don't want to have that be the whole thing the show's about. Obviously, there is advertising revenue people do for a reason. They place ads, they do things, and it's if it's a sponsored thing, sure, we would love to do it all the time. Give us money and we'll totally shill the No, we won't.
Raid Shadow Legends.
We would rather have a chat and talk about the thing and be interested in the topic than just go, oh yeah, you have a Kickstarter, cool, what is it? Tell us about it. And pitch it to everyone listening to the show.
It's kind of like a one for you, one for us. We'll get to talk about a subject that's a little off kilter and something, but then we'll also talk about your project to get more in depth on it. Because it's not like we have a huge platform where we're gonna bring in tons of people to your Kickstarter, but it is still a format that can be very useful where we'll talk more in depth about a thing in a way that a lot of interviewers probably wouldn't. I have kind of gotten out of shape in my interviewing skills the last year or so I do have to get back into that. Get my reporter hat back on.
And the fun thing is now you can wear the reporter hat.
I can, and people would see the reporter hat, so that's even more fun. So I guess I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been with us for this year. It has been quite a trip, and for Alex and Crave, it's been a literal trip. To a whole new area. We've gotten some new gear, we've gotten some new setups, we've gotten better at our formatting, and we'll see what the next year has to bring.
If anyone has any feedback for us that has stuck with us or even watched a couple of the shows for things you would like to see, think we're doing wrong, think we're doing great, please feel free to get at us either via email, totalpuppetknockdown@gmail.com, through the Discord, leave us a voice message on Anchor, or a comment on this video and a thumbs down if you hate it.